All right, what is up, everyone? AJ, you can't control yourself. And as you all just saw, and as you can see above AJ's head, Line Breakers FC to cap off season 2, the big reveal, which really wasn't that big. We'll tweet it out so everyone can see that fire that we got. But we finally got our crest. Line Breakers FC has their official logo. It looks pretty sweet. And yes, that video was just me on Microsoft Editor. So pretty good there, but that was free music from them. So we got to get that part better. But as usual, from the Breakdown Sports, Rex and AJ with you here today. Joey B will be back next week, but we're talking Champions League for the majority of this episode. And then, I'll dabble around for the best bets. But AJ, how you doing?
Dude, I am feeling freaking electric. So I just want to give a shout out to Rex. He's been working on that little intro. So I had no idea what was coming. So that's why I'm so, like you said, worked up and excited. So yeah, I'm ready to dive into the Champions League and get some winners out for everyone.
Yes, sir. So right before we do that, maybe we got to talk about the match that happened yesterday. As a United fan, before we get into the Champions League preview, which you all came for, 12-11 on PKs. That was just fucking electric. And the goalkeepers decided it actually by not saving. Well, one saved one all the way at the end. How torn were you? Spanish teams are now like 16-0 if they face a non-Spanish team in the finals, which is fucking nuts. But thoughts?
Dude, I don't know. There's so many thoughts. So first off, De Gea his confidence was already kind of brutal. So after this, it is probably completely shattered. And I'm one of the biggest De Gea fans you'll meet, so that breaks my heart. During the match, Ole Gunnar did not have the necessary tactics. He didn't make a change until basically after extra time. I don't think he made the right adjustments and changes. I think that game we tried too much to rely on a Cavani, Bruno, Pogba moment of magic rather than having actual game plan. And yeah, I'm heartbroken. No trophies for 4 years. So I know what it kind of feels like to be an Arsenal fan now, although they've recently won a trophy before United. So I guess United are bottom of the barrel right now.
That was, I would honestly say it was just a tough match where I tweeted it out, but I think it's a preview of Euros and a preview at the Champions League matches going to be coming up. It was extremely cagey, where if any time anyone got in transition, people were just taking the other person out. The number of cards was a little bit lower than I was expecting due to the number of tackles that happened, but none of them were that bad. They were just transition stoppers. He had a few dangerous free kicks, but nothing really came of it where other than the 2 goals, what were the real goal scoring chances? There is no clean build-up play. Yeah. There's a few headers that just went just wide. So you had a few half chances, but no shots on net where you were stunned where the keeper made a great save. The 2 that went in were perfect placement shots. So I just think of the Euros and of the next match coming up, that's what it is. But, man, Ruiz, he just fucking rocketed it right into that corner where – I don't know. I didn't play keeper for that long, but just letting in 11 in a row. I don't know how De Gea slept that night, or letting in 12 and then missing yours. I feel extremely bad for him because potentially his last match, maybe, because Henderson seemed to be taking over. And isn't De Gea out of a contract this summer, or do they still have him?
I believe he's still under contract, but there is opportunity for him to move. And in the past, he has said he is kind of homesick. He does miss Spain, so Spain could be a potential landing spot. But I do agree, this is Henderson's time.
Yeah, so that's where if that does end up happening, it would be a shame for his last one. But that game wasn't electric until the PKs, so you had to stick around for a while. And getting into Champions League, we have an extremely low total, which is indicating that we could see something exactly the same, where you have it juiced under 2.25 at minus 125, which is just outrageous. You can get the over 2.25 at like minus 105 or even. You got Chelsea at a nice juicy money line at plus 356. That raised a little bit from the match that they just had a few weeks ago, but that was because that match meant absolutely nothing. You got City at minus 115, so you can get the the goal line or the half goal line, the spread Asian handicap, whatever you want to call it, plus 0.25. Some books you'll have it even. Others you could get a Chelsea price close to even. A lot of riling off the lines for, man, a lot of dollars at stake here. And for Chelsea fans, this is like they are in the right form, I would say. They're coming in a little bit, I wouldn't say cleaner than City. I'm going to get to my City thoughts in a second, but tell them 4 months ago that they're qualifying for Champions League in a spot and they're playing in the finals. I don't think many fans would have believed you, especially if Lampard was still there. So that's a big plus for them. Who are they going to put in the lineup? Who the hell knows other than Mount? He seems like to be the only sturdy part in there. And I think this is just going to be a game of adjustments where one manager figures out something, they're going to switch. It's just going to be switching back and forth. So honestly, this might be a game to bet live as your best value or best option because you're going to see switches, not people coming in and out, but just different styles of attack where I am just not sold on City whatsoever in this game. And I feel like that's the contrarian angle because you saw the videos of Pep smoking that cigar. You saw that team going nuts. I just don't think that they're coming into this match thinking they already won it. That's the only part that I have a hard time convincing myself is because I haven't been looking for that much insights because I like to do mine first, but not many people are giving Chelsea a chance in this match.
Mm-hmm.
And City, they haven't won Champions League for a reason. So that's kind of where I am confident in what my best bet's going to be up in this game. But given where the total's sitting, that's just kind of where if it's 0-0 or if it's 1-1 game, I just hope it's 1-1 because the 0-0 Champions League final is always the worst possible thing at full time because you literally just watch them run around and do track for a little bit because I think we'll see some hard tackles. I think we'll see people constantly adjust. And I think it's going to be one of those matches where a weak ball back, a weak clearance, a poor turnover, that's just going to lead to this. And I do think the under is going to come in, but there's 0.0% of me that wants to play this, especially at minus 125.
Yeah, so quick question for you. So obviously this season, I wouldn't say Chelsea has dominated City, but out of City's opposition, I think Chelsea have gotten the most out of City. What do you take away from that, or how does that play into your capping of this game?
So Chelsea, especially because of all the transfers, they can, especially if they use their subs in the first half, you won't see this, especially with 5, they can switch a game plan real quick. And I think Tuchel's a smart enough manager where on the spot, and especially at halftime, he's someone who, I don't want to say Pep is the ultimate game manager and the ultimate guy in match that will break you down, but I think Tuchel can almost go head to head from him. And if he wins this match out, it's going to prove it easy that is Tuchel just as good of a manager as Pep is? Sure, maybe he hasn't won the Premier League yet, but that's kind of just where head-to-head, little mind games, little games within the game, I think he's the manager that has the best way, and that's why you've seen them pull out results against them.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree.
I just don't know who's going to finish for Chelsea. That's my biggest scare factor. Who the hell's going to start? I don't know, but it's not going to be Zykic because he was one player. We'll talk about this next week, little promo here, our Premier League review episode of how our predictions went, how smart we were, how dumb we were, but in this match, I don't think he's definitely a sub that comes on and potentially there. Pulisic, I don't think he starts either, unfortunately. So that's just kind of where I think those are the two guys that you can sub on and completely flip the match just by what they can bring you. That City, sure, they probably have the same amount of guys that can do that, but City's not used to facing teams that can just go 1-for-1 with your switches with you. So that's where, if you had an anytime goal scorer before you go into your thoughts on this match, who the hell are you backing? Because I know people love backing that. I just have zero confidence in trying to find somebody who I want to back for that.
So I also agree this is a very tough one to cap. So on the Chelsea side, I don't know who's going to score. On the City side, it's who's going to score more for me. I think City have a lot of good options to score, but if I had to I guess throw a dart at this one, Phil Foden. I just feel this is not necessarily his breakout game, but biggest stage. And I'm pretty sure Pep has said something where he says he's comparable to Messi. And I think
That's a big step.
yeah,
He was probably feeling himself after that cigar, all that champagne they were drinking.
He's not even. I'm pretty sure he's not even like old enough to drink or smoke and stuff like that. But like you said, he's feeling himself. Pep's giving him all the confidence. I think he bags one, and that would be my anytime goal scorer.
Well, it'd be a perfect time to break out right before Euros this summer, where you just kind of lead into that, just get yourself a huge pay raise. But that's where I would just have to go Mount, because I know he's going to be the player who's probably not the most involved in all their goal scoring chances, but he's someone who I know will actually be out there for at least 75 minutes under Tuchel. So if I had to go with a guy on Chelsea, which is where you could potentially get more value, I'd go with Mount.
Okay, so another quick question for you. So I know Giroud, I think this past week, there's like big reports of him going to Italy. Do you think he plays a role with Chelsea, or what happens with him?
Well, you can go that way, and you can go with Aguero as well. Do either of those get on the field, which will probably be their last matches with the club? So those are some pretty good storylines to watch. But I mean, I think Giroud only comes in if they're down, and he comes in for the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes, something like that, potentially. Unless they have if they don't have any other attacking options, or if they don't want to go anywhere else up top, he's probably not the first guy that I would bring in. But Tuchel always likes to seem to play a little bit towards him, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see him as a sub.
Yeah, I do agree. I also think Giroud is a big game player, so I would like to see him here. And then on the flip side, I sadly don't think Aguero gets any playing time or anything like that. I think in the past, Pep has let him have his moments, his farewell, but this Champions League game is City's to try to take home.
So how does this over hit that? Because I know neither of us have a play on the full game total. How does this over hit?
Oh, dude. I think there has to be, for this over to hit, I think halftime at least has to be 1-1. If it's not 1-1, if it's, let's say halftime is 0-0 or 1-0, I don't think we see over 2 goals. But a 1-1 halftime score, I think, opens it up in the second half a little bit more. But I just think, and obviously you can see the way I lean, and the way I lean is the under. And that's because, I mean, it's a big game. No one wants to be that player that makes that mistake of letting the opposition score first. So, like you said, a cagey match, any transition or anything like that, I could see people taking yellow cards just to cut out any chance of a goal scoring opportunity. I see a very defensive stand because if Chelsea go down early, I do see Pep sort of parking the bus. But on the flip side is when they played like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Chelsea went up, or City went up 1-0 and Chelsea won 2-1. So it's just hard. I just don't see the over happening.
If I had to lean away, that would be the way. It's more because sometimes with the cagey matches, that produces more of your fluke goals where, sure, it didn't happen in Europa once it got 1-1, but I think that was just due to more poor finishing than creating of the chances, because sure, they weren't of the highest quality where you had to say someone should have bagged one when there was an easy miss. But that's just kind of where with these two teams, even though the players who they do have up top sometimes rotate, I just think the quality is that much better. And yes, Ederson's going to go crazy, probably almost try to create a goal. And then Mendy on the other side is no slouch either. So that's kind of just where I think we do get 3, but the way I'm coming up in my bet, that's kind of where I'm coming at it, that I do think this does ultimately go up into extra time.
Yeah, and just a quick disclaimer to viewers if you are a new bettor. So generally your totals and your sides are only for the first 90. Extra time is a completely separate thing, so don't get it twisted. It's not like baseball extra innings or basketball overtime or anything like that.
All right, so let's get into our best bets, what everyone comes here for. We could have gone deeper into the Champions League final, we could go into which side or which one we think is going to be attacking better and different things like that. If you want to hear more of our thoughts, definitely hit us up. But we want to get into our best bets because we're coming at you different ways and we're just going to talk the Champions League more. But before we get into that and recap how we did, this is just a general question to our viewers who are watching. Feel free to chime in. If you're going to a game, are you legally required to bet the over?
Yes. You don't go to a game. The reason why I'm under Jay, because I'm sitting in my room happily, and these English games I can sleep through. But you bet if I'm heading to Wembley or something big like that, I am hammering it over.
See, that's kind of where you hammer the over, you go to the game, and it hits. You're having a great time. If it's just a terrible game that ends, especially in soccer, it ends 0-0. There's nothing worse than that because it just doubles up. So that's kind of where I must play devil's advocate and just bet the under and just still root for the over because I'd rather root for a good time than to lose money. But going to the Union on Timbers on Sunday, and that over 3 is feeling pretty good. There's probably like a 99.9% chance I'll be tweeting that out sometime. Hopefully it's not after tailgating for a little bit, but there is no tailgating here. So let's get into our best bets. Went 4-2 last weekend. That did include a half win for plus 1.94 units. So ending season 2, hopefully on a high note coming up this weekend. AJ, how'd you do last weekend?
Yeah, a nice little 2-0. My league winners parlay special came through. It was a little clunky, a little threatening as Atletico Madrid went down early, but they pulled through, and them and Lille are league winners. Another one, Chelsea Villa over 2.5. Aston Villa scored first, so that helped it a lot. And I think they ended up winning the match 2-1, if I'm not mistaken. But
yep, you just cashed it.
Yep, either way, over 2.5 cashes.
All right, so let's stick to the Champions League. Let's give out our best bets there. I know that's where you're playing. I'm going to dabble around a little bit. And if you could tell by the way I'm taking Chelsea plus 0.5 at even on the price. Really wanted to go the money line at plus like 356, but honestly, I do think we potentially get extra time here, but I just don't know how. It's crazy to say this. I just don't think City gets up for the match. And I could be out on an island. I could be sounding fucking crazy right now. But Chelsea was more convincing of form as of late. City was rotating the guys. But, yeah, sure, that's what you do after you secure the title. But I think they do come out of the gates a little bit slow. Sure, they have the revenge angle in the mind. When you have City sitting at minus 115, minus 120, sure, anything under minus 150, I just think people are just going to hammer that. And sure, I could see this if it's going to be a blowout. Chelsea's not going to blow City out of the water here. So that's kind of just where I'm taking this 0.5 because I think in a cagey match that could potentially go to extra time, I have to take the dog if you're going to give me the even price. And I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit biased, not like a bias because I'm anti-City and taking too much into which means absolutely nothing. But I just don't think their mind's going to be in it for this game. And I think Chelsea and the way this team's clicking, they just have one thing on their mind. They didn't accidentally win their last matchup against City. So that's just kind of where I think they do come through, even though it was a fluky goal in the last one. Another 1-1 result wouldn't shock me. So first 90, let's get that plus 0.5 and hopefully winners outright.
Perfect. So 2 trains of thoughts. So first, I love the contrarian pick. You're going to see so many City money lines at that short price. So contrarian pick, I'm all for that. Secondly, you talk about City not getting up for this game. Do you think it's more of a mental block of, oh shit, like we can't take Chelsea? Or is it more of a hangover? And this past weekend, they had a cakewalk of a match because they already won the Premier League versus Chelsea, who's week in and week out been having to grind results because they need to qualify for Champions League and win Champions League and all that.
That's what I like a lot more, especially heading into into a match with 90 minutes on the line and whatever comes out. One team's been grooving, playing hard. Sure, City still kept their guys in for some of those matches, but the last one they kind of did it without. You saw how hard they partied. honestly think that Chelsea could catch them early, and sitting with that plus 0.5, if they do get up one goal, that's the perfect live wager to be dangling with. Because even if you do have the Chelsea money line at minus 115, minus 120 live, and they go up, or the City money line, and they go up early, well, you're going to bet Chelsea at plus 500. You could probably get Chelsea at plus 0.5 at a better price. And no, I'm not basing this off of how I want to live wager it, but I do think that is the most accurate way to attack this match. I just want to get the Chelsea down because I do think they come out stronger and hotter. And I do think we do see a low scoring affair eventually, even though I want some goals in the final.
Yeah. I'm on the same page with you on the side. If I did have to pick a side, I would take Chelsea on the Asian handicap. So for this week, I actually have 3 plays. One's I wouldn't say like serious, but one's like 2 of them are more fun, and then one is a solid play. So I'll start with the more solid play. It is pretty freaking juicy. Unlike Rex, I'm not afraid to pay the juice if I do like the play. So sticking in the first half, under 1. So if they get 1 goal in the first half, you will push. It sits at minus 150 on Bovada, so very, very juicy. Honestly, big match. I think both teams' first 20 minutes are going to be feeling each other out. Like I've said before, no one wants to be the player, team, person to make that first mistake. So I do expect some slow feelers to start in the first half.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that one, especially where I think there's going to be a lot of like game planning, feeling each other out, making small adjustments in the first half, because I think the second half is definitely where we'll see more of the action. You want to rattle off the rest of your Champions League plays, and then I'll go to my other 2 leagues to wrap it up.
Perfect. Yeah. So the 2 fun plays. So I have first half correct score 0-0. Like I said, I do believe slow start 0-0. If you are a little afraid to play that correct score, you could also take first half draw, but I'm playing first half correct score 0-0, so it's at plus 150 on Bovada. And the other play, our favorite thing we like to talk about here, VAR, a Bovada special. Any decision to be overturned by VAR, yes, sits at plus 225 on Bovada. So those are my 2 funner end-of-season Champions League plays, but I'm very confident in both of them.
Wow, going with the VAR special that it will be overturned at plus 225. I don't know. Usually when it's the finals, they usually don't try to get involved, but when they do get involved, it usually goes completely across the grain or against what you're like thinking what it will, since it's the finals. But that VAR special does sound like a pretty fun one because, man, the handballs, anything happening in the box, I do like your chances potentially there to cash that one. So that counts if like they don't call a handball and they go to VAR and they call it. Does that cash it, or is it only if a goal goes in and they call it off?
So from what I'm reading on Bovada, it's anything that's overturned. So if the ref has to go look at VAR and assign a red card, or go looks at VAR and takes away a handball, gives a handball, offsides, whatever it may be.
Nice. So that'll be a good one to have. All right, so let's get fun with the next 2. Definitely we have more at it for the MLS since I only have 1 play lined up so far, but we'll start there since it's the one I tweeted out. I'm going Sounders minus 1 at the even. It's the Fade Austin FC edition number 6 or 7. We're 4-2 so far. We got 3 more to ride out here, and I hate laying when it has to be a full 1. But if you saw with what I tweeted out earlier in the week, the Sounders have only allowed 3 goals this season, 2 off of corners, 1 off of PK. Austin FC in their 6 matches have only scored 5 total, and they're all from open play. Yes, they do have Ringback. They didn't like when they got Ringback last week. Maybe it's the angle of when you get your star player back, you fade them. But their least convincing match of the season so far, other than their 2 wins and their losses, was the last match against the Galaxy. So that's just kind of where I'm just not sold on this squad to pull out a result. The Sounders, sure, they do have Cleveland in there, but I I just have a hard time backing Austin yet. And we got Reverse coming in here saying I can never show my face up to a match. Man, after this 9-game fade, I'm going to be looking to potentially bounce on them if they start showing more signs of life, because once you start getting home, especially in the MLS, the home field advantage is crazy, because you see with Orlando, they're sitting at plus 200 or plus 210 on the money line, traveling to Red Bull, so we'll be playing without Long and Gutman. So I just think that's an outrageous price for this weekend, especially for Orlando, who has potentially the best defense because they've only allowed 2 goals. But the Sounders' constant attack with Rui Diaz up top, you got Brad Smith coming from the left back, just producing chances left after right. I just think Austin FC in most of their games, even if they do score early, they sit back, and Seattle is a team where they'll let you play with it, then just kill you on the counter and just punish you for it. And this Austin FC team hasn't played a team that can punish you this much on the counter. And chances were there for Sporting and many other games, especially Minnesota. So I think this one could potentially get ugly. It is, I think this is the Sunday late night game. I don't know why they have 2 late night games on Sunday for MLS, but that's MLS.
Quick question, or I guess 2 things. So I'm guessing traveling to Seattle is one of the most taxing thing for teams, right?
Yes, other than when you used to have to travel to Vancouver, I guess.
Oh, I guess yeah, same thing basically. But then, okay, do you think bookmakers are like baking into the price that Austin have already played 6 away games? They're on the back end of their 9 games. Do you think that's factored in at all, or?
Well, the Sounders are by far the number 1 team in the MLS. They've only allowed the 3 goals, and they're sitting at minus 165 on the money line. We've seen teams in MLS this season be minus 200 and greater. So I honestly don't think they're banking it in that much, because I was expecting to have to lay more than -1 at even, honestly, for this one, because they're the biggest price this weekend, because a lot of the more, I guess, the stronger teams are on the road, but still, I guess they're not FC Cincy bad, or not there yet, because that's where you usually see the price. But I still think a minus 165 is the perfect like money line anchor that you need, where you just throw a higher price with it.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
All right, so what do we call it? The richest game in the world, the one that has the most revenue possible. I don't know what you want to call it, but if the championship's last game of the season, they did increase the fan amount going in there a little bit, but it's not as much as the FA Cup, so the championship fans are super salty about that. But we got Brentford, we got Swansea. So we got 2 teams that Swansea's been up there a lot more recently. I don't think Brentford's ever been up.
Not that I can
So that's
remember.
kind of just where you got a perfect situation where you got 2 clubs just extremely dying to go up there. And I don't want to call Brentford Brighton or XGFC, because they're not nearly as bad, but they win a lot of their matches on XG and didn't finish nearly as high in the table as they did. I mean, Tooney, I think he bagged 41 goals this season, which is just outrageous. So all the skill is on the Brentford side, like just pure raw talent, just because they're sitting at that minus 110 to minus 115 price. I honestly think the better game manager in this one is definitely Potter, the Swansea coach. So I'm going to take Swansea. Same prices to Chelsea, plus 0.5. So both of the big matches, I'm taking the dogs. Old Rex, Big Cojones Rex used to just take both of them on the money line, because if one of them catches, regardless, it's a good payday, because both of them are sitting at plus 365. But we're being soft this weekend, so we're going plus 0.5 on the Swansea even. In this one, I think it's before Champions League, I believe it's 10 a.m. on Saturday. So if you want to get your action started early, it's the perfect way to do so with this match, where most money on the line in the world's up there. This one I can definitely see more going towards the over, but if it does hit the over, it's not going to be good for my ticket, because I'm not banking on AU to finally start showing up consistently and bagging some goals, or even Lowry, I think is the other name. They're Jamaican for it. So that's just kind of where we're taking Swansea. Both of these I could see easily going to extra time, because I think 8 of the last 9 finals have been tied, or it's been a 1-goal affair in the most valuable game. So that's where we're taking Swansea at plus 0.5.
Perfect. Like you said, richest game in the world, and the dogs are barking this weekend for Rex.
I know, man. I'm disappointed that I'm not taking the plus 365 on each way because God, if both of them hit, that's a fun way.
So quick. So if you had to pick, go ahead. Address the question.
No, I don't think you like Chelsea to pull the trophy. I think you like it to more get to extra time. So I guess the plus 165 is more of the value. If you think it's going to extra time, anything can possibly happen.
Yeah,
I think they can win outright in full time. I think both teams can because I'm not backing the plus 0.5 if I don't think the team can pull it out outright.
Yeah, and I mean, we all saw yesterday what happened with United and Villarreal, where once you get past the 90, you just hold on for 30 minutes. Penalties is honestly 50-50. So if you're holding a plus 165 ticket in penalties, you probably do have a hedge option. But at that point, like the thrill and the ride of that, I think it's worth it. But before we recap everything, so if you had to give, so you have 2 dogs this weekend. If you had to give one on the money line, who would it be?
I would have to just say Swansea just because with the lower competition, you got to have anything more crazy can happen. And I've seen Brentford put up or lose 1-0 too many times this year where they just produced all of the chances, gave up one silly pass back, one silly turnover, and it cost them the full match. So that's just kind of where I'm confident that City can be at least see it out to full time, even if they drop behind. Brentford, when they get dropped behind, they're just going to open themselves up for such a bad counter, and that's where it could potentially cost them.
Perfect. So you guys heard it first here. Rex likes Swansea as the big dog of the week.
All right, so let's recap our plays real quick. We both got 3 coming at you. I got Chelsea plus 0.5 even, Swansea plus 0.5. That's at minus 101. Then we got the Sounders -1 at even. So MLS plus money Rex continues for another week, and I'll definitely have MLS plays tweeted out at some point tomorrow or on Saturday. Focus more tough on Champions League and the championship before MLS deep dive.
Perfect. Yeah. And I have a 3-pack of plays for you guys. So first half under 1 sits at minus 150. First half correct score 0-0 sits at plus 150. And on Bovada, any decision to be overturned by VAR, yes, sits at plus 225.
And that is our episode for the week. Thank you all for checking out thebreakdownsports.com. We'll be back live next Thursday. We'll be live for the Euros this whole summer, so we won't be taking a break. But until then, you can follow us under our heads, even though AJ doesn't like to do it. You'll find them. And one last time, we'll reveal the logo once more as we sign off.